Hi, I'm Simon Richardson. The future of the Manx scallop fishing industry is looking brighter than it has for many years. This year's king scallop season saw strong, high-quality landings with almost 90% uptake of the permitted catch quota. I've been talking to Dr. David Beard of the Manx Fish Producers Organisation.
Yeah, I think it's been a really good season and certainly better than the last few seasons where there's been economic difficulties and various other market aspects due to COVID, etc. So yeah, it's been a good positive season. We landed just under 90% of the available catch. The total allowable catch was 2,049 tonnes and we landed a total of 1,816 tonnes. So the key thing to take away from this season is the fact that this is the first year when we've had a reduced number of licensed vessels. So that means there's less boats out there fishing for what is available, which mean they should become more profitable. There was only a total of 47 boats fished this past season. 24 of those were Manx, 23 from UK. So we're just over 50% of the vessels were Manx. That's a really huge change actually, because if you could go back about 6 years, there were over 90 vessels fishing. So we're almost half that level now. And at that time, there was only a third of those were Manx. So it should mean that there's a lot more going through the Manx processes, which helps our contribution to GDP.
Now, this is all very positive news and very different to, I suppose, what we've seen in recent years. Does this kind of positivity mean that others are likely to be attracted into the industry in years to come?
Well, the thing is that the number of licenses are limited. So it's only those that have a track record based on a few seasons ago where they had to have a certain number of fishing days in that track record period to be able to have a license. So you can only get additional ones if current licenses are handed back in. So there won't be an increase in the number of permitted vessels because the only way you could get a license would be to have one which was handed back in. So, I mean, one of the things about that is that we do want to encourage young fishermen or new entrants into the fishery. So once people retire or boats are sold or whatever off island, and there's no longer any need for that license, if it returns to DEFA, then it might become available in the future to young fishermen and new entrants, which we need to do. We have to have a succession plan in place, and that would be the way to do it. So yes, it will get attention, the fishery, and the fact that people want to come here, but it would be based on a maximum number.
Now, what happens in the close season now that fishermen have stopped? What, from your perspective, and the scientists behind it, what happens in this period of the year now?
Well, we've just completed 2 surveys. There'll be the scientific survey from Bangor University, and then our own industry survey. They've just been completed and they're being analysed at the moment. And in fact, later today, we've got a meeting of the Scallop Management Board to discuss the harvest strategy for coming Queen Scallop season, which should start on the 1st of July. So, and both of those surveys seem to have encouraging findings, so which is really good. So it looks good for the future, I think.
Oh, that's good news. And looking in terms of exports, there have been obviously ongoing problems with following Brexit. And is that starting to ease?
There's always going to be the additional costs with Brexit. There's all the administration packaging, house certification, all these sort of extra costs and challenges sometimes at the borders. So that's always going to be there. It's an added cost, and there's nothing we can do about it at the moment. And every company that exports is facing similar sort of things. But what we need to do is just make sure that the Manx share of the available catch remains high, and that we can get the best quality out there and therefore get good prices. So that would offset some of the extra costs. But we've got to keep that quality up. And at the moment, our quality is very good. What the other positives about this season is the fact that if you look at the average catch per fishing trip, it's actually about 100 kilos higher per fishing trip than it has been for the last 2 seasons, and 200 kilos higher than it was 3 seasons ago. So what this means is that the boats are going out and they're actually catching quicker during the time that they're allowed to fish, because they're restricted to 12-hour fishing during the day. Which is very different to the UK waters where you can have 24 hours fishing. So that's a really good good positive, that the fact that they're catching quickly. And we were analysing the results of the fishery just a week ago, and when we got the end of the season report, and on every fishing ground, the catch rates are higher than they have been for a number of years. For 5 or 6 seasons. That's on every fishing ground. So what that means is there's less fishing time because you can catch your daily catch limit in a shorter time. So the good thing about that is there's less seabed contact time, and yet the boats are able to catch their daily catch limit. So all of that's a positive.
Absolutely. And I suppose it also means that for the boats themselves, for the fishermen, it cuts costs for them because they're less time at sea, less fuel and that kind of thing.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, fuel has been a real problem in the industry because it was our major cost when the fuel was, at its highest. Fuel prices are coming down steadily, so that will help the boats going into next year. But yes, we've got to sort of cut costs where we can, obviously, and also reduce our carbon output as well.
So all this, I suppose, is a full justification for the very sort of complex conservation programs that have been put in place in the recent years.
Well, certainly, I mean, we had to have this long-term management plan in place for King Scallop and be able to justify reducing the number of vessels that could fish here. Because if you don't have control over the potential effort that can go into the fishery, then it's impossible to manage the resource properly. You've got to know what your maximum effort could be in any given season, and we can do that now thanks to this new King Scallop management plan. We're actually in the process of bringing in a long-term management plan for the Queen Scallops as well now, and hopefully that will be in place in the next 6 to 12 months.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Little Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.